want you to give a big, warm applause for Nick Gomez.
Play hard, work hard, play hard.
Work, 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 work. Diamonds all on my ring, player. Gold watches, gold chain, player. $100 champagne, player.
Everybody?
Yeah, my money insane, player. Yeah, I'm making it rain.
Oh, come on,
player.
Orlando, let me hear you. How's it going?
Buying gear, flying here. It ain't
All right,
much work,
thank
my
you so
time of
much.
year.
So, wow, before starting off, I want to say, a big thanks to Dr. Stacia and Ariana and all the staff back there. Thank you all for putting a huge and amazing event. Can we all give them a huge round of applause, everybody? So, Bitcoin. Who's heard of this Bitcoin thing, see on Instagram, Facebook, right? XRP, blockchain, and you guys have ever asked yourself, what are these digital currencies, cryptocurrencies? And before we get into it, my goal today is for every single one of you to have a breakthrough. And I want you to walk out of today understanding what cryptocurrency really is. Because imagine knowing Amazon before it became what it is. That's powerful information. We're talking about generational wealth. You guys understand that? Imagine understanding what Microsoft was going to be before it. And tonight we're going to talk about today is really the information that has completely changed my life. See, I've been an entrepreneur, trader for about 7 years. I own businesses. But to me, what really shifted everything and my passion is teaching people the world of cryptocurrency and this new digital era. Because can you all agree everything's turning digital, right? And tonight, you guys are going to learn everything that you need to understand about the markets in a very simple manner. So you guys could get the information, apply it. But this is what you guys have to do with today and everything that's covered in this conference is take action. You guys understand that? See, I've been in so many conferences, and I could tell you this one today and this weekend that you guys are here is some powerful information, but you all need to apply it, take action, and then you guys could see the fruits of your labor, all right? So we're going to get this started. We could get to the next slide. I've been in the market for about, 6 years, and I could tell you that the market is very, very fruitful if you guys know what you're doing. And Bitcoin, if you guys have ever tried to understand it, anyone seen it before on Coinbase, or maybe the Uber driver told you about it, or you saw it on Facebook. But, however you heard about this information, I'm sure in 2017 you guys probably saw Bitcoin go from $1,000 to $20,000. And you sat at home going, what was I doing? Right? And then it went from $20,000 down to $3,000. And you probably asked yourself, I could have been a part of that wave. Did you not? I could have made some money. I could have got into the market, but I didn't have the information. And some of my mentors always told me that the way to be successful in any industry is having the education, but the opportunity. And you have the market of Bitcoin as the opportunity, but now you need the information. Like Dr. Stacia was saying, it's knowing when to buy and when to get out. You understand that? So today, I'm going to teach you guys something that's very important. It's the technology. Who's ever heard of blockchain? Anyone ever heard of blockchain? Okay, we got some hands here. So blockchain technology is what really changed everything for me. So I don't want you all to look at Bitcoin as a monetary gain right now. If you guys understand the technology, everything will shift. And you guys will understand what it is. So who's ready for some info right now on the Bitcoin? All right. So this is what we're going to look at. If you guys look at the evolution of money, all right, and before we cover, this graph that we have here to the right and the left, I want you guys to think of cell phones. And think how technology has really expanded and shifted everything. I mean, for now we have Teslas with Batman doors, right? We got self-driving cars. And I want you to look back to technology and all the industries that it has changed. Let's look at cell phones. Who remembers the big bulky ones, right? And then the indestructible Nokias. You guys remember that? The Razors and then the Sidekicks. And then who remembers just the first iPhone coming out? And you're like, I need one of those, right? And you had to have an iPhone and an iPod at the same time. You guys remember that? And then soon enough, phones started to shift, change, and the Androids. And now every single person has what is called now a smartphone. But everything became digital. Let's look at music. How did music advance? We went from records, right, to CDs, to tapes, Walkmans, and then the MP3 came out, MP4. Then you had an iPod, and now it's on your phone. But what did technology do? It created something tangible and it made it digital. You guys understand that? So look at everything that is becoming now in the world. Everything's becoming digital. You know, who remembers the Encyclopedia Britannica? You guys remember that, right? Where's it at now, right? It's Wikipedia. So any information you guys want to search and learn it's at your fingertips. We live in an information era. But there's something to me that is lacking the technology. And that to me is called the evolution of money. Who still is upset that banks close at 5, right? Yet we have Batman doors and Teslas. To me, it doesn't make sense. Or when you send a wire, it takes 5, 7, even 2 weeks for it to go from destination to destination. See, the one thing, in my opinion, and it's the most important, is the banks and the financial sector is missing the technology era, going digital. And that's what Bitcoin really does. So I'm going to give you a quick little history lesson, but everything's going to make sense. Everything I show you is going to give you clues and context, because I can tell you out of today, you'll walk out of this understanding the technology, the info, and then it's going to make you feel a lot more comfortable, because you don't want to just invest in Bitcoin or trade these markets blindly. Yeah, you understand that? When you have the context and understand it, everything pieces together. So we started off with the barter system. Who remembers this in high school, right? Or maybe you didn't pay attention. Now the barter system, what was it? It was a trade-off. So for example, if I wanted cattle, I lived in a nearby village, let's say, and there wasn't any currencies at the time. So if I wanted some crop and I raised cattle, I would go to Jimmy's farm, right? And I would exchange my cattle for crop, right? But through the years, we've noticed that we needed a currency. Because something in the barter system called the lack of coincidence is what happened. Meaning that Jimmy did not want to transact with me because he was tired of my crop. You guys see that? So I had to go find something Jimmy wanted in a nearby village to then be able to transact with him. I'm giving you guys this quick little history lesson, because once you guys understand this, you'll never look at the markets, Bitcoin, and currencies the same. So what did we do next? Who remembers commodity money? Gold, silver. All right, we weren't in this time era. But people then started to create a currency, and that was gold, silver, copper. You guys understand that? But what was the problem here? In any currency, these are the key attributes that you need. Something that can't be counterfeited, has to be divisible, all right? Has to have a limited supply. Key word, limited supply. And has to be able to be transported. Now, if we look at gold, can we transport millions of dollars of gold just safely? And think about back then. There wasn't any volts or big cars to protect us from anything. So here the problem also in gold was people would then start diluting some of these precious coins with other precious metals. So the face value of whatever the gold wasn't what it really entailed. Does that make sense? So we then went to the IOU. Chinese actually created the first fiat money. So paper dollar bill, I just saw like a couple hundreds, a couple bands were thrown here in the middle, right? So in this money, right, the Chinese started the first one. It's called the IOU. And then the U.S. and all the countries around the world started having this fiat, this paper money. But do you guys know what the U.S. dollar used to be backed by? Gold. And what is it backed by now? Who has a $100 bill? All the hundreds that were just thrown away. Just wave it up in the air. This is the most mind-boggling thing. Do you know what that actually, what gives it that value now? It's just your trust. Nothing else. It's not the Federal Reserve. It's not central banking. It's the trust that we have that a $100 bill is worth $100. And that's why we have inflation. See, let's think of what $100 could buy you 5 years ago. A whole lot, right? 10 years ago, 15 years ago. It's the same $100 bill, but what has changed? It's the value of it. It's inflation. You see that? So as inflation has hit countries like Zimbabwe, hyperinflation. Countries like Venezuela, hyperinflation, right? So how could we change this? This is where the key concept of limited supply is, because what could the Federal Reserve do? Print more money. Print more money. And what happens as they keep printing? As you all know, the country is in debt, trillions of dollars. You understand that? So how could we change that? I'm going to show you guys with a currency that has completely revolutionized the world. I call it Internet 2.0. So in the slide, we have something then called digital money, but with a key word called centralization. All right? So we look at companies like who uses PayPal or Cash App, right? And they created something called digital money, where it's still your money being transacted, but if you guys have ever used Cash App, it's not instantaneous. You guys see that? There's still the lack of speed. And we live in a world where we could Google something in Philippines or in Philadelphia, but we can transact as quick as we could search for information. So there's a problem. We need to apply this technology into the world of pretty much finance. So that's where Bitcoin came about. Because think of Bitcoin. Bitcoin only will ever have 21 million coins. So we have a limited supply. You understand that? Bitcoin can't be counterfeited. It is literally impossible to counterfeit Bitcoin. It could be divided into 100 million pieces. Okay? And it could be transported because it's all digital. So I'm going to show you guys something that was created in 2008. Bitcoin is already 10 years old. So for those of you, I had the lack of this information, and I was scared of Bitcoin. I saw it on Facebook. I'm like, is that a scam? Is that going away? You know, what is this thing? But as I grew and understood the concept and the technology, everything started to click. So if we could go to the next slide. And look what Bitcoin really is, so you guys can understand. It's the first decentralized peer-to-peer payment network. All right? And I'm going to make sense of this. What's decentralization? If I'm going to make a transaction with Bill, for example, or let's say I have, a high schooler mow my lawn, for example, and I give him $20 in cash. Is there anyone in between that transaction? No, right? It is a transaction from A to B. But we live in a world where there is someone in between. A bank, Visa, a merchant, the 3%. You guys understand that? So many people eat and make money off the middle. So what Bitcoin is doing, it's the first cash network that's completely decentralized, and it's open source. It was created in 2008, then pretty much launched in 2009. And this is the world's first digital currency that all around the world could use. You know, you could move millions of dollars across the world in seconds. And there is nobody freezing your bank account. There's nobody asking any questions. Anyone ever taking money out of the bank and they look at you like, why are you trying to take money out? You know what I mean? They're like, it's my money, but why can't I take it out? So that created a problem. So Bitcoin is solving this. For example, there's 30%, listen to this, around the world, there's 30% of people around the world that are unbanked. So how can you send funds or remittance payments around the world? I'm Colombian, for example, so every time I want to send funds to South America, these companies charge 5, 10, 15, 20% just to create a transaction. And with Bitcoin, I pay pennies. So this is creating a possibility for people in hyperinflated countries to create transactions for businesses. For those of you that have merchant accounts with your businesses, you could take Bitcoin and there's no Visa. It's you completely receiving this capital and this money. And it is real money. I want you guys to understand. It's not up in the cloud. It's not fake money. This is real money that could be cashed out, transacted, and you guys can make money. So Bitcoin, if we go to the next slide, if you guys understand, Bitcoin is something powerful. It's decentralized. So this is something I wrote that's very important for every single one to understand. We trust the banks and central authorities with our money. They have complete control of the money supply, its circulation, and the course of money. So Bitcoin, it represents the idea that we can take back the power and control of our money. I'm not going to get into politics, but can you agree most wars were probably caused because of what? Money. And a lot of things all through history were really shifted and caused through central banking, not even nations. It was really all due to the money. So imagine being able to give the power back to us, the people. And that's what Bitcoin is. It's an environment. It's a consensus. It is a network where we are empowered, and it is not the banks. You understand that? So it's completely decentralized, and what I mean by that is we all have the power. So if you guys go to the next slide, you guys can see that Bitcoin, one Bitcoin right now, is worth $9,800. All right? Just this year alone, I've been telling all the students in iMarkets Live to be buying from $3,000 at $4,000 and at $5,000. And we went all the way to $13,000 of Bitcoin. So just alone this year, Bitcoin has already grossed close to 400% ROI. So imagine having the information and knowing when to buy. Because that money you have in your bank account, let me tell you, you could have a return on investment. Because banks, understand what banks do with your money in the savings account, they're trading it. They're giving you a couple pennies called interest, right? And they're making money on your money. But why not have the concept of you doing what the banks already do with our money, but instead you keep the profits? Does that make sense? Say aye. So this is something I want you all to understand. One Bitcoin can be split up. You don't need $9,800 to own some Bitcoin, okay? This is the concept that I didn't understand. One Bitcoin can actually be broken up to 100 million pieces. Go look at your person to the left and say Satoshis. So Satoshis, you're probably like, what in the world is, you just make up a word? No, look. A little bit of piece of a Bitcoin is called Satoshi, or they call it sats. Okay, so one Satoshi is one, as you guys can see in the example in the decimal, it's the 0.00000001. That is called one Satoshi, okay? And you could break up Bitcoin all the way to 100 million pieces, meaning in the future, and I'm going to cover this, you could go to Starbucks and pay $3, you ladies, your lattes, right? You could go with your $5 and pay to the T to the penny amount with your Bitcoin. You guys understand that? So that is the power. And if you are looking to invest, you don't need $9,800. You guys could pretty much be buying bits and pieces. And this is the most information that, to me, it changed everything for me. If we look at the world, hyperinflation. But Bitcoin, there will only ever be 21 million coins, as you guys can see. We're already in circulation of 18 million coins. So what do you think is going to happen as we get closer to 21 million? Price is going to go up. Because when there's demand, when there's lack of, when there's scarcity, prices rise. You see that? See, I'm a firm believer that we could see Bitcoin at 50,000, 100,000, $250,000 a coin, even possibly $1 million a coin. But this is why you're probably still calling me crazy, right? Is because you probably don't understand the information yet. And this was the thing that changed everything. Once you get educated about this market, it all clicks and makes sense. Because this is a wave that I'm telling you, just like you missed Bitcoin going from 1,000 to 20,000, you're going to miss it going from 20 to 100 grand. But you watched it the whole time. See, to this day, today, say today. Today, you could make a decision to act on the market. Because just like Amazon passed you by and you didn't invest, Microsoft passed you by and you didn't invest, or any market passed you by, or a buddy told you buy this stock, then it 10 times itself, and you're like, it's going to happen again if you really don't pull the trigger. So as you can see, it could be divisible, and we go to the next slide. There's not just one Bitcoin, all right? Say altcoins with me, altcoins. So there's over 2,000 different cryptocurrencies. Now you're looking at me like, what? 2,000 different coins. Now you're probably asking yourself, well, Nick, which one do I trade? Which one do I invest in? Which one will be here in 5, 10, 15 years from now? You understand that? And I'm going to give you 5 that I believe are going to be here for the long term. Now, once you're a part of our organization, IMO, you guys are going to understand when to buy, when to sell it. But I'm going to give you 5 that, to me, are going to be here and are going to give you a lot of value and very promising generational wealth. So let's write them down. So one is Bitcoin. 2 is XRP. 3 is Ethereum. 4 is Litecoin. And number 5, we have Basic Attention Token. Okay, so I'm going to go through them again. Bitcoin, XRP, Ethereum, Litecoin, and Basic Attention Token. So there's over 2,000 coins. Who was part of the tech era of maybe like 95, 96, 98, where you saw just stock companies, new companies popping up every single day? A new stock, blue chip, blue chip, blue chip, blue chip, blue chip. But who are the companies here today still standing? eBay, PayPal. And this history will always repeat itself. This is where I base all my education and trading. So how do we know what cryptocurrencies are going to be here 5 to 15 years from now? You see what I'm saying? So I just gave you 5 that I believe are going to be here and are going to be profitable. It's like buying Amazon shares at $4, $3, $2. You understand that? So besides having 2,000 different coins, all of these coins serve a different purpose. All right? For example, a coin that I just showed you called XRP. I'm a huge fan of them. They are taking the digital technology that I just shared with you all to the banks. Imagine being able to help banks move billions of dollars in 4 seconds instead of 2 weeks. XRP gives the ability to banks, and you guys could Google what XRP is. XRP gives the banks the ability to move billions of dollars, save them hundreds of millions of dollars in fees. Because if you guys understand banking, I'm not a banker, but I just did my research. And the information I'm sharing with you all costed me thousands of dollars worth of mistakes. And Dr. Stacia wanted to bring me here to really give you guys the value, the content, so you guys could understand what the market is all about. So a bank, when we're making a transaction, for example, in Europe, right? And it goes from bank A to bank B. There's something called intermediate banks. You guys understand that? And every single bank needs to have some sort of connection for money to flow from A to B. XRP is giving them a line of liquidity where they could move billions of dollars in 4 seconds using their technology. So that's XRP. Ethereum, a 19-year-old called Vitalik Buterin actually created this coin. 19 years old, think of that. And he's close to a billionaire because he created a concept where people could then store contracts in the cloud. You guys ever heard of the cloud? You know, you guys use an iPhones, Apple, right? So same thing with cryptocurrency. So you could use all of these digital assets and really profit and take advantage of. So this is the question. My mom sat me down. My grandma were like, where's Bitcoin come from? If we go to the next slide. They said, well, Nick, is it a gold rush? What's going on? Do we pick it? We need access? Well, what did we say at the beginning of the talk? Digital, right? Say digital with me. Digital. This is all digital. You don't print Bitcoin. You don't go find it. You don't go digging in holes for it. It's all created digital through computers. Because that's the shift. That's the wave. That's the new world we're living in. You understand that? Everything is digital. Everything. Yellow page books, they don't exist anymore. You know what I mean? Now it's Yelp. So if we read with who prints it, let's do this. This currency isn't physically printed by any bank. Instead, Bitcoin is created digitally by a community of people. So any which one of you can do the process of called mining. And what that means is they use computing power in a distributed network, these individuals completing tasks known as miners. So what is mining? If you have a computer, you could use this computer and verify transactions in the Bitcoin network, or pretty much solve mathematical equations, and you guys could earn Bitcoin every single day. Now it's very difficult because you need a lot of computing power. But there's people in China, Iceland, Venezuela, all over the world using their computers. Now, this is the network that I was talking about. I know this might sound like Chinese, but I'm going to make it really simple, all right? So here, what these computers do is they validate transactions. Because remember what I told you all. The people are in control of the network. Not JP Morgan, not Wells Fargo, not any Citibank, none of them. The people are in control of verifying transactions are correct and verifying that the network is healthy. So that's what the people behind the computers do. They are pretty much connecting their computer, making the transactions flow, validating it, and creating new blocks, which I'll cover. So if we go to the next slide, this is the world we live in. It's the internet of information. If you guys were to send an email, you guys understand you're sending a copy of the information, right? A copy of a PDF, a copy of an email. A text is logged and it is a copy. You guys understand that, right? So if we go to the next slide, this is still the world we live in. We need an internet of value. And what I mean by that, we need to be able to transact in a way just as fast as we're able to search and send information. Because wouldn't it be a problem if we send copy of presidential votes or art or carbon credit or any sort of information that's very valuable? Isn't copied information, it wouldn't be too hot, right? Like, it would be really important if I send Dr. Pierce $1,000 that I still don't have it, right? We can't create a copy. You guys understand that? So that's what Bitcoin solved, something so important, which is called the double spend problem. And in 2008, you guys remember the huge financial crisis? Interesting enough, that same year is when Bitcoin was created. Because people lost hope in the banks. And now this digital coin, this digital currency came about to save something. So this is something extremely powerful where if I show you guys, this is something that is going to be taken out. And this is where you have to wake up. If we could go to the next slide. Right now we live in a world where there's a middleman for everything. You need a lawyer for almost everything. You need every merchant or company or everybody is dealing in the middle. And people are making millions of dollars. Now, what are they not only doing? They also have your information. It's centralized. They can be hacked. You guys understand that? Home Depot's been hacked. All of our information was on it. Banks have been hacked. All of our information was on it. Now, what cryptocurrency is doing is Bitcoin created a technology called blockchain. And anyone heard, really understood what blockchain was? I talked about it for years, but I didn't understand it. But when I understood it, to me, I was like, wow. Internet 2.0. If you're taking notes, write Internet 2.0. Because Who's still scared? I know my mom is still scared to go online and shop with their credit card. Probably most of you. Who's still scared to put their valuable information online because you feel like there's a lack of trust? Blockchain is creating trust in a way where you could transact, where you could monitor. Louis Vuitton, for you ladies, men, they're using blockchain technology in the next couple of years. And why? Because there's so much counterfeit material all over the world. Imagine being able to buy something. This is what blockchain gives you the power. Imagine being able to buy something and know what manufacturer it came from, what shipping crate it was done, who was the supplier, what store did it get to, and if it got resold or bought, and then it was sold to wherever, you know every single data and information where it was logged. That's what blockchain is. Let me go back to diamonds. Let's think of diamonds. How do we know that diamond is by all means good, real, was not caught in any, somewhere you wouldn't have wanted to buy from. You understand that? Or pharmaceutical drugs. You guys know that people die, millions of people a year through Deadpool Intercom. They ran a study. They said millions of people a year die because of counterfeit pharmaceutical drugs. So how do you know that when you're in CVS and Walgreens that you're actually buying the true Tylenol or whatever medicine that you were trying to buy? Blockchain, let's put blockchain into it. Imagine knowing the pharmacy it came from, the lab that it was created, the supplier, the vendor. All of that will be able to be logged. And that's what blockchain does. If we see it right here, if we go to the next slide and we read it right here, and take notes, this is really, really important. Next slide, please. If we got the technology, this is what blockchain is, the technology behind Bitcoin. So thanks to Bitcoin in 2008, this information now, this technology is now being implemented in countries, nations, our own U.S. government, but people just don't know about it yet. So this technology, I want you to understand, it's a digital ledger that can be programmed to record not just financial transactions. We're not just talking about moving funds everywhere. We're talking about medical records, asset records. Who's ever bought a car or has had the trouble or scarcity or being scared that you're buying a lemon car or a car that was crashed? Because even Carfax is wrong, let me tell you. I'm going to be honest. They say 99.9%, and I've heard that cases of that 0.01%. You guys understand? So imagine now introducing blockchain, and what it is, it's a simple terms, it's continuously updated record of who holds what. But the key word is decentralized. Why is decentralization so important? We could go to the next slide. Because we still depend on one sole authority. If PayPal logs your information wrong, credits, debits, deposits, transactions, wires, and they're incorrect, you don't know. You trust every day that your balance is correct in your bank. Isn't that crazy? You don't think about it though, but that's mind-boggling. So blockchain is creating a space where it's information that can't be tampered with, it can't be manipulated, hence why Bitcoin is so powerful. So this is how the information works. We see blocks at the bottom, right? You guys see block 41? So this is how the information is stored, no matter what information it is. This is how Bitcoin works. This is how blockchain in any sector can work. So information is put in block 41. And every block contains data. And it gets stamped by the network of, remember miners? Remember miners I told you about, the computers, everyone that are pretty much validating transactions? They put all the information in block 41. And now the only way to add information about the pharmacy, about Louis Vuitton, about any sort of information is creating a new block. So they can't rewrite, tamper, delete, erase. They got to go to the next block and create information. So they can't overwrite. So we go to block 42, and then this is not what they're writing. They're not, hey, we're erasing the previous block. No, it's a redefined information. So what do I mean? They put, for example, block 41 said, Jimmy bought a house. Block 42 says, Jimmy bought a house, and he remodeled it a year later. Time-stamped, closed, next block. And this is how it really looks. If we go to the next slide, let's think of asset records for a home. Who's a homeowner? Now, there's been people, I've heard cases, that own a home and it's had water damage. They didn't know. It's had problems. It's been in terrible accidents, have had fires, have had all sorts of problems. but it was never logged. It was never cared for. And you're buying something at a steep price, and you have no idea what or how it happened. You understand that? So blockchain is creating the information where every single speck of info of any form of data can be logged, tracked, and input. Okay? So for example, if we look at here at the ledger, this is how a typical ledger would be. 1970, houses built by Alex. 1975, houses sold to Jake. 1977, houses renovated. 1980, houses sold to Maria. 1995, house suffers damages. If someone wanted to erase that, we live in a world that they can't. Everyone understands that, right? There is ways right now that if you get in a car accident, you could fix it up and it won't be on Carfax. Everyone knows that. Now imagine having cars with blockchain. Volkswagen, Jaguar, Land Rover are already implementing blockchain. Louis Vuitton, there's oil rigs all over the world using blockchain because they're keeping track of data. Because there's employees in the inside and in the outside trying to manipulate to make money. There's so many ways to counterfeit information. And blockchain is saving that because we're able to now what is called save the info and have trust. Because we don't live in a world filled with trust. You're still on Instagram saying, do they really make money? You know what I mean? Or is this car really real? Or does this really make sense? Or is this diamond really, really, really real? So blockchain is going to save that. If we go to the next slide, this is the most important image you guys should understand. That's what decentralization is to your right. It is all of us with the shared information. All of us in a computer-based network verifying that all the data we have in front of us is correct. Okay? Now this is the world we live in right now to the left. Centralization. Where if Chase is wrong, we take the hit. PayPal is wrong, we take the hit. Any store or anywhere we transact, we take the hit because the information is centralized. You see that? So this is something that you guys need to understand because if we go to the next slide, and if you guys have seen some of these brands, who's heard of Fidelity? Or TD Ameritrade? Who's heard of Starbucks? Right? Or the New York Stock Exchange? These entities, corporations, governments, even the SEC and the US government have now understood what blockchain is capable of. Banks are so scared now of cryptocurrency that they're creating their own coins. JP Morgan has JP Coin. I'm not kidding. Facebook is trying to launch their own cryptocurrency. So this is what I got taught by my mentor. You observe the wealthiest of the wealth. And you copy them. So I've been involved in cryptocurrency since about 2015, 2016. I've been able to earn hundreds of thousands of dollars, seven-figure investing. And now I travel all over the world sharing this concept because I'm passionate. I don't want you all to miss out on this boat. Because once this boat sails, it's gone. You will never see, in the next couple years, ever Bitcoin at 5 figures or 4 figures. You're going to see one coin being 6 figures, and you're going to be here, who knows, 5 years from now saying, I should have pulled the trigger. I should have understood. But the reason I pulled the trigger and the reason why a lot of my students see success is because I teach the context. I teach the information behind the investment, right? Because then it makes sense. Who's got a little bit more value and understanding of what Bitcoin is now, right? All right. So if Bitcoin now is being traded, invested by people like Fidelity, they manage trillions of dollars with a T. T. It takes 1,000 billions to make 1 trillion, just to put some perspective, right? TD Ameritrade is going to be trading and investing in Bitcoin. And they're already doing so. The New York Stock Exchange. And then there's something called ICE, which is a sister company of the New York Stock Exchange. And they're now with Microsoft going to be using a payment provider where all of us could go to Starbucks and pay in Bitcoin. See, the reason Bitcoin is not everyday use is because we haven't adopted it yet, and people are not understanding the technology yet. But once everybody could then transact and send, just like Cash App, some of you all had a phone and why do I text? Why should I text? When I could just call you? Now all you all do is just text, right? What's the point of this? What's the point of that? Because human beings are scared of change. But if you understand this and understand that instead of waiting for 7 days for a wire to hit, you could send any type of funds, not get an account frozen, and have it in seconds. And you're what is called pseudo-anonymous. Your information isn't out there, your social, your account number, your address, nothing. You are just digits and codes in the network of blockchain. That's game-changing. I could send funds anywhere in the world, and there's nobody to stop me or tell me why. That's what cryptocurrency is. So understanding that these individuals are getting on board shows two things. And we go back to the tech era of the 1995-1998 era. We looked at individuals were getting involved in the blue chips, the penny stocks, making fortunes. And then something happened. There was a huge crash, just like we experienced it in 2018. And the individuals got scared, and they swapped hands, which what is called with the big boys. Fidelity, TD Ameritrade. And like I said, history will always and always and always repeat itself. So now people are losing belief in Bitcoin, and guess who's buying up your Bitcoin? JP Morgan, when Bitcoin was at $4,000, they called it a scam. It pushed price to $2,000, and they bought $250 million worth of Bitcoin. Crazy, right? Now they have their own cryptocurrency. So the market's being manipulated by them. So if they're getting in the market, what should you be doing? Right? So now everything also plays a part in price. So if we could go to the next slide. This is what the market does. This is a theory for years. This is called the Elliott wave, a market cycle. And I'm going to be going over this and bear with me and follow with me. So you guys see the arrow where it says you are here? So that's where we're going to be very soon. And in any market in 2017, for example, I was buying Bitcoin at $600, $700, $800. I made close to $500,000 just with $10,000 in 2017 with just buying Bitcoin. And thank you. And as we see the market progress, you see optimism, belief, thrill, and then greed kicked in. Oh, did greed kick in? Bitcoin was at 19,000. Some people have never made this amount of money in their life, and they're just thinking they're going to be a billionaire next day. That's how it happened. So Warren Buffett says a quote, you sell the greed, you buy the fear. Okay? Always, write that down. You sell the fear, buy the fear, sell the greed. And then we saw Bitcoin go from 1,000 to 20,000, and then this is what happened in 2017 and 2018 at the end. There's a part called complacency and anxiety. This is when people bought at 15,000 and they said, it'll go back up, right? I hope. They refinanced their home. They took out cash on their credit cards. And they're buying Bitcoin at 18, 19, 16, 15, hoping that it'll go back up. And then they get what is called anxiety, denial, and then they lose belief. Because of the lack of education. Not knowing when to buy, not knowing when to sell. You see that? So then you go into anger, and right now we're in a state of disbelief. If we go to the next slide, please. This is a graph of cycles Bitcoin does. See, you've only heard of Bitcoin the last 2-3 years, right? But Bitcoin's been around since 2008, and it was once worth 1 cent. Remember that. But you didn't know about this information. So the first 1,100 days that we could track info, those were 3 years where Bitcoin went from 1 penny to over $100. Think if you would have been involved then. Then we had what is called a correction. So this is how the market so far has worked. It's 3 years of going up, 1 year going down. So bull runs are called when the market goes up. So if we see the first cycle, it's all the way to your left. That was 1,100 days of price just continually going up. Okay? The next year, for about 400 days, a year and a half, price went from about a couple $100 back to about 60. Then we saw price go from $60 to 1,000. Then we had another year and a half of correction. And then we've been buying, Dr. Stacia, myself, Ariana, we've been buying Bitcoins 3,000, 3,200, 3,400, 4,000. And we sold and we took profits at 13. And now we're waiting for price to go back down a little bit to re-enter. But this is having the correct info. Because you need it. How do you know when to buy? How do you know what coins are conservative? How do you know where your funds are safe? You see that? And this is all information that everyone needs to have. So if we go to the next slide, please. This is where you buy Bitcoin, okay? Some of you have probably already heard of this app called Coinbase, right? But I'm going to take it a step further. Write this website down. It's called pro.coinbase.com. And here is where you're actually going to be investing and buying not just Bitcoin, but XRP, Litecoin, Ethereum, and basic attention tokens. So all the coins I mentioned, you can buy right here. Now, this is the place where you could save the most money because let me tell you, if you buy cryptocurrency, they're going to charge you so many fees. But here using Pro Coinbase, you guys could save a lot of money and get in the market correctly. And we'll show you guys once you guys are part of the team. Now, where do you store? So if we go to the next slide, where do you store something that's digital? Is it in your wallet, pocket? Where do you put Bitcoin, right? So Dr. Stacia got a ledger, and she got it in pink, and I love it. So this is what you guys, so you see it's like a little USB drive, right? So this USB drive, what you guys could do here is you store your cryptocurrency. Because I'm going to be the bearer of bad news. Since we're talking about something digital, guess what's out there? There's something called hackers. Be honest. And these people, just like they could get in your emails, they could get in your bank accounts, and they could get in your Bitcoin. All right? So the safest way that you could store and make sure that your cryptocurrency is safe and good and you could sleep at night is something called a Ledger Nano S. So make sure, though, when you're buying this, so write this down, go to Ledger, so LEDGER.com. Always buy directly from the website. Always. They're a company based out of France. Why? Because I'm going to be the bearer of bad news because I'm going to give you guys the reality. I'm going to give you guys real expectations. This is what the world we live in is. People are selling these on Amazon, and they've been rigged. Where you buy them, you're putting your Bitcoin in there, and then it's gone. That quick. So always buy directly from the website. Always. Store it, get whatever nice color, clear, pink, blue, black, whatever color it is you want. And this is the safest place that you could store cryptocurrency. Why? Because it's something called cold storage. It's not on the internet anymore. It's not on the blockchain. It is safe. The only way you could access your Bitcoin is if you connect it to your computer, put a whole amount of security phrases, passwords, and a PIN code, and then you could access your Bitcoin. Does that make sense? Now here, you could store all of the currencies that I just told you as well. XRP, Litecoin, basic attention token, Ethereum, and the works. Because just as you want to be educated and prepared, I've met, unfortunately, individuals that have been buying Bitcoin since $5, $15, and they have, I'm telling you, tens of millions of dollars, but they can't access it. Imagine that being you. Like knowing you're a millionaire, but you can't touch it. Like, that's tough. So here, you could get what is called a ledger and have your coins, understand you have access to them, and no matter if it's 5, 10, 15 years from now, you could access this because this is the safest. I have all of my assets, all of my coins here on this ledger because I know it's the safest place to store your cryptocurrency. So if we go to the next slide, this is what Dr. Stacia was talking about. We are part of a company. I'm one of the educators and traders for our platform. We have over 100,000 students a part of our company. And what we do is we educate the masses. We're in over 120 countries. And what we do is we teach people how to correctly invest, trade. Because honestly, you've probably seen all sorts of people accumulate wealth through the markets. And you always ask yourself, how do you do that? How do you trade? How do you invest correctly? What could you do to get a piece of that pie? In iMarket side, we trade both markets of Forex. Anyone heard of Forex? Maybe a couple of you people in IMO, right? And for those of you that don't know about Forex, I thought it was a spaceship. I didn't understand what Forex was. But Forex is actually the largest market in the world. It's trading currencies, okay? It's like the US dollar, Japanese yen, the Canadian dollar, such. And we trade the fluctuation of price going up and down, and we profit through our platform. We also trade cryptocurrency, and how we do it is we have a full-blown online academy where we get to watch videos from beginning, advanced, experts. Even if you've already been in the market, you could learn through all our educational platform, not just the Forex side, but also the crypto side. So I was able to help with the CEO himself create a lot of the content for the crypto side, and I can tell you, this information has helped hundreds of my students, not just earn hundreds, thousands, but I've had already a bunch of six-figure earners that they took advantage of this information and have earned hundreds of thousands of dollars by just modeling this information. All right? So not only do we have an academy, we also have something called a TV. All right? Who watches TV? Some of y'all? All right. Now imagine having a TV where you guys could model experts in the market. So if anyone's heard of Twitch or any live streaming type of platforms, imagine being able to watch a professional expert in the market trade live with you. You're home, in your PJs, in bed, wherever your office, right? And you get to watch some of these experts teach you strategies, show you how to trade live, explain the market, and you even get to ask them questions on the right of our platform, so they'll answer any single question you guys need. That's the platform we've had. We're a growing company. We're soon to have close to 1 million students in our company. We're closing into 1 billion. And I could tell you, the CEO himself, he's one of my mentors. He's been trading for over 25 years. I'm 24, right? And he's earned millions of dollars, and with this platform, he's been able. So just so you guys understand, once you guys get a part of iMarkets Live, and we're going to be putting the phone number for you guys to text. So if you want to become a part of this family, if we go to the previous slide, please. If you want to become part of our community, of our family here in iMarkets Live, and learn, and at the same time earn, we're going to either put a number right here on the screen, or you guys could just ask the staff if that you guys want to be a part of our community, because I could tell you something. I've been trading for quite some time. I started with just a couple $100s, and through the years of learning and applying and going to conferences like these, my orders went from a couple hundred to a couple thousand, where now some of my positions earn and range from $100,000 to $150,000 per trade. And I could tell you, if someone, for myself, no college degree, somebody that just applied, had the correct mentorship and education can do this, so can you. It doesn't matter your age. I thought trading involved math. Guess what? I'm bad at math, all right? So I'm just put that out there. So math, you don't need math. Trading, look at it as an art. It is a form of picking up patterns, understanding structures, and if you, as a kid, loved putting squares in the square hole and the circle hole type toys, you guys could do this too. And little by little, with our platform, with our company, you guys call or text this number, and you guys could start learning piece by piece, bit by bit, and little by little, start having that hard-earned money you guys have and multiply it. Because it's not what you make, it's not what you keep, it's what you invest. I could tell you that. I started this industry when I was 17 years old, and I always ask myself, how do people earn this amount of wealth, live this type of lifestyle? What is it they do? And it always landed in investing or owning a business. And I understood that it didn't matter if it was just a couple $100 I was starting with, because I saw depth of vision. Right? Even if right now you're saying, man, Bitcoin, 9,800, I could probably put just $100 in, but you don't know what 5 years that $100 could be. Because if I would have said that in 2016, 2017, I did get a large position. I put about $20,000 in the market because I understood the information I provided. And I reached $1 million thanks to that same $20,000. Now, this is the thing. If I would have never been educated or made the decision and took action, that $20,000 would still be $20,000. Maybe $19,980 with the fees, right? The banks, right? So this is where you guys have to be empowered. Understand what Bitcoin is. Get involved with our family. Get involved with iMarkets Live. Understand what blockchain is. See how you could literally turn your phone into a walking ATM. We say it, but it's true. We have people copying our experts, taking advantage of our platform, and for iMarkets Live TV, that's where you guys could catch me. If you guys could put it to the next slide. This is where you guys could catch me. I go Mondays and Wednesdays. I go live. This is my Instagram as well. And I could tell you all, if you want to take advantage of the largest market in the world, you want to trade Bitcoin, you want to take advantage of the next wave, Bitcoin will be, and listen to me, you can mark it down 5 years from now, touch me in the shoulder, touch Dr. Stacia in the shoulder, or Rihanna, whoever, Bitcoin will be 100 grand. I'm telling you. The technology is changing everything. It's revolutionizing everything. What was yet to be fixed now has a solution. And the biggest companies in the world, what they did was they found the biggest problems and they created the biggest solution, and that's what Amazon turned into. PayPal turned into. Some of the biggest companies in the world, they solved the biggest problems. So Bitcoin is solving still the same thing we've been facing in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, which is the banks. How is it we could search information in seconds? When you do a Google search, it tells you 0.00035 seconds to search all of these listings. But we can't send money that fast. Why? If it's just a bunch of digits and information's digitally. You understand that? So everybody, I encourage you all to get the information. I appreciate you all, and thank you, Dr. Stacia, for having me. Thank you, everybody.
Play hard, work hard, play hard, work hard, play hard.